Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Today at Online Sunday School, I have a story for you that you probably already know. Do you know about Noah and the ark?
Yep.
Yep. What's an ark?
An ark is kind of like a ship.
Yeah, kind of like a ship, a great big boat. So we're still at the very beginning of the Bible in Genesis. That's the very first book in the Bible. So it says Noah was a righteous man. Do you know what righteous is?
No.
You're really good, doing stuff that God likes. Blameless among the people of his time, and he walked with God. Noah had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. I think Ham is kind of a funny name. It makes me think of something to eat. Now the earth was corrupt in God's sight and was full of violence. Remember at the last week we talked about how the world was not perfect anymore. That Adam and Eve ate from the apple and it brought sin into the world and made the world not perfect. And we have a choice. We can pick to do right things or we can do wrong things, right?
Yeah.
But the people were deciding to do terrible things. And God was not very happy. He saw how corrupt the earth had become, for all the people on the earth had corrupted their ways. And so God said to Noah, I'm going to put an end to all people, for the earth is filled with violence because of them, and I am surely going to destroy both them and the earth. So make yourself an ark of cypress wood and make rooms in it and coat it with pitch. That's kind of like tar so it doesn't leak, right? Do it inside and out. And then he told him how big to make it. He told him all the dimensions, kind of gave him the plans. When Daddy builds something, he kind of has a plan for it, right?
Yeah, he draws it out on paper.
He draws it out on paper. And so God kind of drew it out, I think, in words, and Noah probably made it out on paper and told him to build this ark. Because God wanted to do a do-over kind of and start again. And he was going to start with Noah. Because people were just not being very good. Nobody was caring about God. Nobody wanted to do the right things. So he said, you know what? We got to fix this. Right?
Yeah.
So he said, I am going to, put a door in the side of the ark and make lower and middle and upper decks. And I'm going to bring flood waters on the earth to destroy all the life under heavens, every creature that has the breath of life in it. Everything on earth will perish. But I will establish my covenant. Do you know what a covenant is?
No.
It's a promise with you, and you will enter the ark, you and your sons and your wife and your sons' wives with you. So you are to bring into the ark living creatures, male and female, to keep them alive with you. So the animals and the birds and everything that was alive, he wanted them to bring at least a male and a female, so that they could start the earth all over again afterwards.
Isn't this about a humongous boat and everybody comes onto it?
And everybody comes onto it? No.
No.
Remember who came onto it?
All the animals came onto it.
The animals came onto it,
Mm-hmm.
but for people, who came onto it? He just told us. Noah.
And a female.
His wife,
Yeah.
right? And his 3 boys
Mm-hmm.
and their wives, because his boys were grown up. So they had wives too. You are to take every kind of food that is to be eaten and store it away as food for you and for them. And Noah did everything just as God commanded him. And the Lord then said to Noah, go into the ark, you and your whole family, because I have found you righteous in this generation. And he told him to 7 days from now, I will send rain on the earth for 40 days and 40 nights, and I will wipe from the face of the earth every living creature. And so Noah did everything that God said. And the flood waters came on the earth, and Noah and his sons and his wife and their wives entered the ark to escape the waters. And the animals came. They came to Noah and entered the ark as God had commanded Noah. And after the 7 days, the flood waters came on the earth. Now, it wasn't 7 days after he said to build an ark. It was a long time to build the ark.
So like
They think years and years and years and years they worked on the ark. But when he came and said it's going to start to rain, and then 7 days later, it started to rain. So, there's some questions I have already about this stuff. Do you have questions? No?
not really.
Do you know when the cows get out and Daddy has to get on the quad and kind of round them all up?
Yeah.
Did Noah have to get on a quad and round up every kind of animal?
No.
No? What did it say happened?
They just came.
They just came.
Mm-hmm.
So God must have said, hey, elephant, go over there, right? And the elephants just knew to go over there. And so they brought, it's a good thing he didn't leave it up to Noah, because I bet you Noah did not know every single kind of animal on the whole earth, right?
Yeah.
He would not know if he missed any. And if it was up to me, when the mosquitoes went through the door, I would have smacked him. So God was in charge of getting the animals in there, right?
Mm-hmm. And unless it would take him like a year or something.
It would take a long time if he had to chase them all down on the quad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they just came. So on that very day, Noah and his sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, together with his wife and the wives of his 3 sons, entered the ark. And they had with them every wild animal according to its kind, all the livestock according to their kinds, every creature that moves along the ground according to its kind, and every bird according to its kind, everything with wings. Pairs of all creatures that had the breath of life in them came to Noah and entered the ark. And the animals going in were male and female of every living thing, just as God commanded Noah. And then the Lord shut him in. God had to shut the door. It must have been a heavy, heavy door, eh?
Mm-hmm.
For 40 days, the flood kept coming. 40 days is a long time.
Yeah.
40 days is about from the time people are watching this video until Christmas. That's a long time. Can you imagine it raining for that long?
No.
That's a long, long time. Non-stop raining and raining and raining. Because when God flooded the earth, like that's a lot of water. But remember when we talked about creation a couple of weeks ago, God separated the water, right? There was water below and water above. So he was letting this water come up and this water come down, covered the earth. Just like at the very beginning.
Yeah.
So it kept coming and coming, and the water rose on the earth, and all the high mountains under the entire heavens were covered. The waters rose and covered the mountains to a depth of more than 20 feet. Every living thing that moved on the earth perished, birds and livestock and wild animals and all the creatures that swarm over the earth and all the people. And everything on dry land that had the breath of life in its nostrils died. Everything living on the face of the earth was wiped out. Only Noah was left and those with him on the ark. And the waters flooded the earth for 150 days. So it rained for 40 days. But then they just couldn't get out and go walk on the ground, right?
No.
Because there was still flood everywhere. When High River flooded, there was water in there for a long time afterwards, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, 150 days, the waters flooded the earth. But God didn't forget Noah and all the wild animals and the livestock that were with him. And he sent a wind over the earth and the waters backed off. And then some of the water would have gone back up in the sky too, right? Because that's how it works. And now the springs of the deep and the floodgates of heavens had been closed, and the rain stopped falling from the sky, and the water receded steadily from the earth, and at the end of the 150 days the water had gone down. And on the 7th month the ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat, and the waters continued to recede until the 10th month. And after 40 days, Noah opened up the window he had made in the ark and sent out a raven. And it kept flying back and forth. Every day he sent it out and it flew back and forth. Why didn't it fly off? Why did it come back?
Hmm.
Can you guess? Because there was no place else to land.
Oh yeah, because the water.
Yeah. So he kept doing that day after day. And then he sent out a dove one day to see if the water had receded. But the dove could find no place to set its feet because there was water over all the earth. And so it returned to Noah back in the ark. And he reached out his hand and took it back. And he waited 7 more days. And again he sent out the dove from the ark. And when the dove returned to him in the evening, there in its beak was a freshly plucked olive leaf. What did that mean?
That there was no water.
There was water. There was no water somewhere because there was a tree growing, and the dove found it. By the first day of the month of Noah's 601st birthday, the water had dried up from the earth, and Noah removed the covering from the ark and saw that the surface of the ground was dry. And then God said to Noah, "Come out of the ark, you and your wife and your sons and their wives. Bring out every kind of living creature that is with you, and so they can multiply on the earth and be fruitful and increase in number." So he said, let them come on out and have a whole bunch of babies so that there's lots of these animals again. Good plan, eh?
Yeah, so that when an animal dies, then there's still another animal in its place.
Yep. Okay, so this is the first part. I'm going to read the other part afterwards. So this ark was humongous. You already knew that it was big.
Mm-hmm.
So do you know how big a baseball diamond is? You guys play baseball?
Yeah.
It was as long as 6 baseball diamonds. That's pretty long, eh?
Yeah.
About that long. And it was 4 stories high. That means like if you have a building with a first floor, a second floor, a third floor, fourth floor, that's how tall it was. I don't even know if we have any buildings in town that has 4 stories. The apartments have 3, I think.
Yeah.
4 stories is pretty tall.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's huge. And it could hold, do you know what a big semi is? A big semi truck?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And they got the big trailer on the back and they carry lots of stuff. It could hold about as much as 450 semis. That's a lot.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of animals to take, right?
Yeah.
And there was a lot of food to take. At first I wondered if the animals slept the whole time. If God just put them to sleep and let them all hibernate, even the ones that don't usually hibernate. But it says that they needed to bring food, and hibernating animals don't usually eat, right?
Yeah.
So what do you think they ate? Each other? The lion grab a lamb?
No.
When they're all walking into the ark, they must have been getting along. And it said that there would be different rooms in the ark, but it didn't say cages. Because I don't know how you would make a cage for every kind of animal anyway. And back then, when there was no wires and stuff, how do you make a cage for a mouse? You build it out of wood, he's just going to chew right through it.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, it doesn't say so, but I'm thinking that all the animals got along when they were in the ark.
Yeah.
And all the people better get along too. Sometimes it's hard to get along when you have to be in the same place as everybody all the time.
Yeah.
But they did it. Because they were doing a huge job for God. Now they were in there. I don't know if you added up all those days, how long they were in the ark. From the time that God shut the door to the time he said, "Come on out," can you guess maybe how long you think it might be? It rained for 40 days.
And flooded for...
And it was still 150 days after that it was flooded until it stopped somewhere, I think. What about you guys? Can you guys guess? Maybe you guys know that.
Like 190.
190?
Days.
They think that it was about a year, maybe just a few days over a year. That's a long time.
Yeah.
So you think in COVID we've been locked down, right?
Yeah.
For about 8 months, 9 months. We've been locked down for a long time. But we're not locked in on a boat with nobody else. We still get to go to the store and we get to go to school. And
yeah, but they had to just stay on one place.
they had to stay on one place. Did they bring a doctor?
Nope.
Nope. Did they bring a cook?
No.
Maybe Noah's wife was the cook. Yeah, so they were on lockdown for a year. And there was nobody else to see anyway because everybody else died. That's a long time.
Yeah.
I wonder if they played games. Maybe they were just busy all the time feeding all the animals.
Yeah, because that would be a lot of animals to feed.
It would be a lot of animals to be scooping up poop. That would probably keep them busy.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you had to behave. Maybe they got along because the one who was causing trouble got that job. That would make me behave. Yeah. Because there was thousands of animals, right?
Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay, so we're going to go back to some promises. Let me think here. Okay, God blessed Noah and his sons, and he said to them, "Be fruitful and increase in number and fill the earth. The fear and dread of you will fall upon all the beasts of the earth and all the birds of the air, and upon every creature that moves along the ground, and upon every fish of the sea, for they are given into your hand." So Noah and his family were in charge of all the animals. So people are in charge of the animals.
Mm-hmm.
We need to take care of them and do responsible things, right?
Yeah.
And even though we eat cows and stuff, it doesn't mean we get to torture them or anything. We still have to be nice to them and we don't let them suffer and we take care of them, right?
Yeah.
So everything that lives and moves will be food for you. Just as I gave you green plants, I now give you everything. I was wondering if on the ark, if the lions ate meat or if they went back to when it was like in the Garden of Eden, they ate all plants, right?
Yeah.
I wonder if they did that on the ark. Because Noah, if they didn't, Noah would have to bring tons and tons of extra animals just for them to eat. And the poor little pair of mice running past, and a cat comes past, it swallows them up, then there would be no mice. Because he would have ate them, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm thinking, my thinking is that they didn't eat meat. They just got to eat pretty much grain and salad and stuff like that. Leaves and grain and rice and all kinds of plant kind of foods is what I'm thinking. But it doesn't say. But that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I'm thinking they just like brought like fruit things.
And fruit?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be good.
Like, cause like of horses don't eat like carrots and like apples and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Okay, so he made this deal with Noah. He said, I want to establish my covenant, my promise with you and everybody who comes after you, and with every living creature and all the wild animals. I promise that never again will all life be cut off by the waters of a flood. Never again will there be a flood to destroy the earth. And God said, this is the sign of the covenant that I'm making between me and you and with all the living creatures. Do you know what it was? He made a promise that we could see forever and ever after. Because I would imagine that every time it rained, you know how there used to be a tornado? And so it was kind of scary, right? So every time the wind comes up really hard, we think, oh, is there going to be a tornado? And God said, oh, I don't want you guys to be afraid of rain, because that's how I water the ground and stuff. So I'm promising that every time it rains, that I'm not going to flood the whole earth. There's still little floods, like in High River or other places have had floods, but not to destroy the whole earth. And he said, do you know how you can know that? It's because I'm going to put something in the sky. I bet you guys at home has already seen it sitting on my table. What did they put in the sky?
Rainbow.
A rainbow. God put a rainbow in the sky. And he said, when you see that rainbow, you remember that I promised. And does God always keep his promises?
Yes.
Yes, he does. And so they got to start all over again. So after that, do you think people were good forever and ever? No. People still get to choose right and wrong, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes that's a hard choice. But we try to do what's right.
Yeah.
But God promised not going to happen again, not a big flood like that, right? Anyway, that's pretty interesting. It doesn't say in the Bible, but most people think that a lot of people made fun of Noah. I mean, he's building a ship in the middle of someplace with no water. Does that sound a bit crazy?
Yeah.
It does sound a bit crazy. I bet you that there was so many people making fun of him. And especially if he worked at it for a long time. If it was years and years and years, and they would say, I don't see any rain, Noah. I don't see the rain coming. You still working on that ark? Because there's no rain coming. Where's the water?
But like if it took years and years and years to build an ark, then you would need lots of years to do it.
You would need lots of years to do it.
And it's better to have it instead of not having it.
It's better to have it, especially if God says you're going to need this. Can you believe it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if like the flood doesn't happen and you're finished the ark, it's better to have it there and be finished it if when the flood comes, or then not to be done it and the flood comes.
Yeah. Exactly. It's good to have it. If there's going to be a flood and God said to build an ark, it is better to get building it and have it done, even if people make fun of you. But sometimes when it takes a long, long time, you start to wonder if it's actually going to happen, right? Sometimes if somebody says, oh yeah, this is going to happen, and we wait and wait and wait, and you just think, I don't even believe it anymore. You kind of get discouraged. So good for Noah. Even when he was discouraged, even if people made fun of him, even if it took a long time and it was hard work, he kept on going. Because just like Jenna said, it is better to have it because God said so, and do what you're told. So that's a lot to think about. Sometimes if we have a hard job, we need to keep at it. Even if people are making fun of us, we need to do what's right. And even if it takes a long time, we still got to finish it up because it'll be worth it, right?
Yeah.
Right. So today we are going to make rainbows like this. So, Jenna, can you grab that scrap of white paper, please? And what I did is I cut out strips of paper, and each one is the same width, but they are a little bit,
Sure.
every one is a little bit shorter. And I did them in order of their color. So you can see they're a little bit shorter, each one.
That green is very bright.
The green is so bright. And I didn't have a purple color, so I took some white paper and I colored it purple, and then I cut it out. So that's what you're going to need to start with, is some strips of paper. I used some wider paper and I gave them some skinnier paper. So what you're going to need to do is you take your glue stick. Now one of you can be making the rainbow while the other one makes a cloud. I want one of you to just draw a cloud shape, and with the pens here, and then cut it out. So Jenna, do you want to do that? Draw a cloud shape and then cut it out. And Hannah, I'm going to get you to put a little bit of glue on the end. Okay, and then you're going to put this one on it, but you're going to leave just a little bit showing, okay?
Is that good?
Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, so I don't know if you can see this really well. There's a little bit of the red sticking out, so they're not exactly on top of each other. You're scared of getting glue on the table? Okay, now you can do it again, and then put the yellow one on. So Hannah's going to do them in order, and each one she's going to put so the bottoms match, but they are not quite on top of each other. Perfect. Now keep going.
Okay.
And Jenna's cutting out the cloud.
Which one, blue?
Nope, green is next. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo. Indigo is kind of like a really dark purpley blue. And then violet, which is purple. But I only did blue. I didn't do the indigo.
And purple. It's a blue one.
Put lots on. Okay. Now to help hold it while we do the other side, I have some paper clips. But if you're patient, you can just let it dry. One more.
Oh.
That's okay. The paper clip will help it dry. Okay, I'll hold it in place. Perfect. Whoops, I'm moving it. Okay, so you can see that Hannah put them all so that you can just see the tips of each one, but the ends all match. And then to hold it in place, we're just going to put a paper clip on all of it, okay? And we're going to let it dry a little bit. Okay, how you doing, Jenna?
Good.
Almost done?
Not that much more to go.
Okay, so the next part of this that we're going to do is I'm going to hold this side. And Hannah, I want you to do exactly the same thing on this side. But let's start with the purple, okay? Yep, I'm going to hold the purple. Now, because they're shorter, what happens when we put it on here, it's going to bend a little bit. Do you see that? Okay, so I'm going to hold that.
Is that good, Grandma?
That's perfect. Okay, now, let me see. Now, Jenna, you're going to need 2 little slices in here to tuck your rainbow into. So we'll put one there and one there. So we're just going to take, see this cloud, and we drew 2 lines on it. And that's so your rainbow can plunk into those holes. Okay, do you see how we're doing it exactly the same? Just a little bit showing each time, but matching the ends. There's another one.
And last
And
one.
last one. And there's her rainbow. Do you see that? Now I think we are going to share this craft. I'm going to hold it while it dries, and Jenna is almost done. It's kind of hard. It doesn't have to be perfect. It only has to be long enough. Do you want me to do that?
I can do it.
You can do it?
Just get the...
Here, so you don't go right through my table. Do it on my Bible, because my Bible is duct taped together. It's pretty tough. Is it hard? Okay, if you want an easier way to do it, whoops, we'll fold this in half, and then you can just slice it, right? Like that. Fold this in half. Oh, she already did this one, I think. She did. Okay, so we're going to share this craft. Hannah did the rainbow, Jenna did the cloud, and then we're going to take the end of the rainbow and poke it in the hole. And then we're going to take the paper clip off this end and poke it in the hole. And there you go. We've got our rainbow. So that's lots of fun. And we will see you next time. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Bye.